This is John Hernandez. Today, I got a great friend and an amazing musician hanging out with me. I believe this is the third time we've sit down and talk. From Evil Masquerade, Lacrimosa, and many, many other projects, the mighty Henrik Flyman. Henrik, thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
Thanks, and your introductions there are just amazing as well. You always start out with trying to make me blush, and you almost succeed every time.
I was really looking forward to sit and talk with you again. I always really enjoy just BSing and shooting the breeze, and you're such a passionate musician. The last time we talked, Evil Masquerade had just released the digital crucifix. How's the album been going?
A little bit like it normally does. Since we are not a big record company, we can't do these massive, huge promotion campaigns. But it doesn't really matter because always the old fans they seem to pick it up right away, and it's always something about getting out new people that wasn't aware of what we're doing, and we have been doing that this time as well. So it's growing steady, and it's actually going better now than it was when it was brand new. So it shows that it's still working. So right now it's a little bit strange because we have the Crucifix album and then the compilation album, which is even newer. But both of those albums are it feels like we're still working with two brand new albums.
10 Years in the Dark. You was just talking about that. That's an amazing album. When did the concept for that come about?
Basically, because it has passed 10 years since we started, basically the idea was to make something more out of the 10th anniversary of the band than just releasing the Digital Crucifix album, which would have been fine, of course, because it was a great album and it was great to release it on the anniversary. But it felt like something more should be done just to make it clear, because normally, I think, especially these days, when the record industry is hard and it's really tough for a lot of bands, usually when I hear about quite a lot of bands for the first time, it's when they're quitting. And then I hear about this and that band, and they're called something, and they've been around for 10 years, and such a shame they are giving up now, and I can see the fans. Oh yeah, we've always been such a fan, and oh, it's already 10 years. Oh, now they're quitting. So it seems like fans normally first get aware of how long a band has been around when they are actually dying or calling it a day. So I thought, let's make it different with Evil Masquerade. Let's just make it very clear that we are celebrating 10 years and we are not quitting at all. And put out the anniversary compilation album, and also with the title 10 Years in the Dark, make it very clear that it is really 10 years we've been around, and we've been talking quite a bit about it. So I think these days most people are actually aware of that we've been around for a decade, and that was a little bit also the intention with the album, to make the celebrations more clear and also make it very obvious that we've been around for such a long time. And also the songs on the album was really hard to pick whatever it should be, because of course I wrote the whole thing, so I like most of it. So whatever I would have chosen, there would always have been someone out there telling me I chose the wrong song. So we decided to let the fans choose the songs, so they are completely responsible for the music on the album. I think it turned out really good, and I really like the flow on the album, but I didn't pick the actual songs actually. But it was a lot of fun doing it that way.
There's not many bands that would be willing to relinquish what songs get put on an album. That's huge.
Yeah, but on the other hand, the only reason why we exist is because of our supporters and the fans and friends around the band. They have been carrying us since day one, because we've never been a priority act on the labels we were on in the early days. Now, since 2011, we're doing it ourselves with Dark Mystery Music, our own label. But also in the all the previous years and the releases, it always felt like we weren't a safeguard, so never got the priority, or they put us out, and then they really didn't do anything. Of course, it was good to get out and have their albums put out for people to have a chance to check out. But I don't know if it made more harm or good, because it really never had a chance to really take off, because we were always hiding in the dark, a little bit like the title 10 Years in the Dark. It actually felt a little bit like that.
The songs sound amazing on it. Have they been reproduced, or are they just the ones straight off the albums?
They are straight off the albums, but then remastered. The first reason to do so was, of course, because if you take music from how many is it? It's like 6 albums, and it's from 2004, the first one, and the last one was released last year, 2014. And of course, along the way, the productions have changed, and some members have changed, and so they all sound a little bit different compared to each other in production values. So to make them work together on an album, you have to do some final touch to make them belong together. And I was a little bit shaky how that would turn out, especially the very early albums, the 2 first albums, especially because they have a little bit different sound. Then from the third album, it settled a little bit, and I was really surprised how the remastering, how well it worked. And I have heard the album a couple of times when it was ready. It really feels like it's one album where the songs belong together, and I never expected it to work that well.
The album cover, who designed that?
Same guy as the Digital Crucifix, David Troost, here from Denmark. I really like him.
Well, the inside 2 pages, I'm actually holding it in my hand right here. The inside pages, too, I love how you just went through and it's just pictures of the band. You kept it simple, but it's powerful. It's just, this is what we've done over 10 years. How do you decide what photos to put in something like that?
That was not easy at all because we have so many photos, and it was something because since it's supposed to represent the whole career, of course the photo should span also over the same period a little bit. Of course, some periods we had some more photos, but then again, we could have put in maybe like 10 times as many photos. But there are also the limitations of the format because the booklet, a CD booklet, is every page is like 12 times 12 centimeters. I thought a lot about it. Should we put in more and make all pictures smaller, like in the Digital Crucifix? We had kind of a picture collage in the middle, 2 middle pages in that booklet. And that was really cool. But at the same time, it didn't really get the impression of all the pictures. It was just a lot. And I like it. It was in a cool way. But since this was with a focus on the whole period, I thought it was more important to make each picture count a little bit more and therefore make them a little bit bigger. I was actually looking around in a few other albums in my record collections with a few artists that have done something like this, and I stumbled over, I think it was an album with some compilation thing with Deep Purple, who had done a little bit this same way, but extremely boring. But they kept it like more straight, like we have done, and with square pictures, and it felt like it was a really good way of doing it. But they probably had a guy on some artwork on the record company that was more doing other stuff than rock and roll, so it didn't feel that rock and roll. But the idea was good, so we basically took their idea and improved it.
I was on social media this morning and just tinkering around. I had a few minutes and I stumbled on your page for a few, and there's this video there for the promotion of 10 Years in the Dark. Bozo the Clown. How did that come together, dude? That is freaking insane.
It's very Evil Masquerade-ish, I think. uh, we had one kind of promo show reel for this album that was released. I can't remember, a few months ago or something, maybe more. I have no idea of time anymore. I'm just working night and day. But it felt like we should do something more, and then one thing led to another, and suddenly we ended up with this. Yeah, shouldn't we have this really cool clown? Because we have been associated with clowns for a while. So let's make him go crazy and tell a little bit about it. And it was kind of fun. I think actually most people haven't seen it yet because we decided to put it out in such a really strange time frame. Because if you're strictly promotion guy looking at the statistics, and we probably put it out in the worst period of time, in the worst day, but I think it will probably spread in a nice kind of way when someone posts it to the next, and then it grows a little bit like Evil Masquerade. It's not huge in the beginning, but it will spread because it's too stupid not to spread.
It's crazy. Who filmed it? Like who come up with the entire thing? Because it completely tripped me out watching that video. Love it.
The basic idea, I guess, was mine, as usual, uh, and it was presented for the guy, the clown. He's probably a clown always, and he did the whole thing himself and filmed it.
That's brilliant. For and the people listening into this, I will make sure that this video is posted on my pages and forums and stuff because seriously, even you got to watch this. It's brilliant. It really is.
He's really funny, and yeah, he makes a valid point.
I have seen probably 300 promotional videos for bands and stuff. This is by far the most unique and gets the point across more than any video I've ever seen in my life.
As I told you, it's very Evil Masquerade-ish.
So what's next for Evil Masquerade?
You never know. At the moment, I am in this really fortunate situation right now where I actually can spend a little bit of time writing music, which I normally do all the time. But last year was insane with album releases and touring and so many things that I didn't get much time actually for the first time in over 10 years, I think, way over 10 years, where I didn't have any time to write much music because I like to have a little bit more concentrated writing periods to really get into it. Because when I have had a little break, if I've been out touring or focusing on other stuff, then normally I need like a week or a couple of weeks really to get warm again and do the good stuff. Occasionally something good happens, but when it really feels that I'm in writing a new album mode, and that's basically what I'm trying to do now, just because an album takes quite a while for me to finalize, so I need to get started, and now I have this golden opportunity for a little while where I can do nothing else. So now I'm just trying to dig into it and get warm and write for our seventh album.
I freaking love the Digital Crucifix. I think it's a brilliantly written album. I can't wait for the next one. I really can't.
Yeah, I have no deadline for it as usual, but right now it's going extremely well. So let's see. We might be surprised.
One project you was involved in that you and I don't think we've ever talked about, a band called Black Moon Secret. Last year, I believe the album come out. I would love to hear about that project and how that came together.
Okay, I really honestly don't even remember when that album was released, but I think it was basically around somewhere when we released the compilation album, 10 Years in the Dark. Somewhere around there, maybe a few weeks earlier or later, I can't remember. But I'm also playing guitar with the band Lacrimosa. It's a bit more industrial goth kind of band, and they are located in Germany mostly, and I've been playing with them since I started, I think was 2009, on the Sehnsucht World Tour. We've gotten very close, of course, and the other guitarist there, JP, is a brilliant producer and songwriter, and he's been working mostly for producing other bands such as Therion, and I think he made one of their breakthrough albums, and he also did, I think, Cradle of Filth and a few of those bands. And he's also been writing films and theaters and commercials and all of that, but he never really had his own band. And he has been working for a few years, I know, on songs for this project, which he never really knew what to do with. And then he got closer and closer to something, and he had a track list for a full album. And some tour, I guess, a couple of years ago, he asked me if I wanted to be part of it and put it out, and if whenever or if there were some shows, if I would be interested in joining him and doing that as well. He's a good friend of mine, and I think he's very good. So what's not to like? It will not, of course, collide with Lacrimosa because he's also in that band and I am, and it will probably not collide with Evil Masquerade because he will not do much, and since I'm scheduling Evil Masquerade, it feels like it's a really good situation where we can plan around and make everything work. So and at the moment we have no idea if I don't think we will even play this year. If we will, it will not be much. So we take it one step at a time. But it was really nice to be invited, and again, I like him a lot. So of course I want to help out if I can.
Well, and it's a great album too. It really is. I was unaware you was in that project till it was released, and I'm like, whoa, Henrik's holding back on me. I ran out, bought it, and I was like, wow, it's really, really good. It's got some nice heaviness, but not too heavy. It's the singing on it's brilliant. Great album. Great album.
Yeah, he's a really good singer as well. He's been kind of a session singer with lots of bands, and he's also played with guys like Ola Ruth and more known names. So a really nice guy, Olaf, and great singer. He's also the drummer from Lacrimosa, so it's very kind of going out from Lacrimosa and doing it a little bit different. But since it's three of the guys in Lacrimosa, so we all are kind of close already to begin with.
Okay, you've mentioned Lacrimosa a few times. If memory serves me correct, Lacrimosa released a live album last year also, making it a pretty big year for you. What's on the horizon for Lacrimosa?
Basically, since it's not officially released from the band, so to say, I shouldn't say so much about it. But this is a celebration year for them as well. I can't remember. Is it 25 or 30? I think it's 25 years. It's an anniversary as well. So of course, great things will happen. Music is being written, and also live album you were talking about was a double CD from we played. I can't remember. I think we recorded it 2013 in Mexico City. It was a huge arena, 5,000 people. It was really cool. But at the same time, we also filmed it. So someday, somehow, when someone has edited, I guess there will also be a DVD from the same show. Who knows if it's released this year or I hope so, because it feels like it was a really good show. Besides that, I'm sure there will be gigs, but it's too early to say anything because it should really come from them.
We've mentioned band after band after band. Is there any other projects that you kind of feelers out for you're working on that you can talk about?
Probably. Good question. Is it probably someone is going to kill me now when I say I can't remember. Right now I'm just 100% focused on Evil Masquerade, so that's basically what I breathe night and day now. So writing more and trying to impress myself, and it's occasionally going good.
Right on. Question that I got off social media that come in this morning was we had talked about in the past on the latest studio release of Evil Masquerade having a new singer. How have the fans been as far as accepting him coming in replacing Apollo?
There was not much reaction about it. I don't know. It feels like, because when we play the show, people have been showing up and they have been enjoying it and thinking it was really good. So, but it feels like people just expects us to have a great singer, and when we do, they don't complain. I don't know. I really sincerely thought it would be more of a fuss when Apollo quit all his bands, basically, and including. He actually didn't quit Evil Masquerade. We had a talk because I could see it wouldn't work, and we just mutually agreed that we just took a break. But I had really expected much more noise. Oh no, we don't like Evil Masquerade anymore, or oh, this is a shame, or oh great, we didn't like him anyway, or but at least something. It was a very little bit, and then we just continued, and then we put out the Crucifix, and no one said anything more than that they probably enjoyed that album the most of the albums we have done. I think Pentagram with Apollo and this last one, the Crucifix with Tobias, is our most successful album so far, and the compilation album, if we can count that, since it's a compilation album, but that album is also doing really great.
Tobias and Apollo both have such similar singing styles. They really, really do. They both are very powerful singers.
Yeah, absolutely. Why I did expect a little bit more reactions with Apollo because he's a more well-known name and he has more fans of his own, like as a singer. But it feels like all, or at least as far as I can tell, most old fans stayed and kept supporting what we're doing. So it feels really great. And also I think since it was very clear that it had nothing to do with any bad blood between us, or we're still good friends, and if we need to do some show and need a replacement singer, he's still more than willing to jump aboard and do it. And who knows with the future, we're just good friends and making music whenever it works. He's also doing a solo album, or working on a solo album. He's been doing that for ages, but now it seems like since he quit everything else, he's gotten a little bit more time. So I've been playing a little bit for that album as well. Yeah, that's another project which I forgot. I played a little bit on that, and several other friends of his as well. The last track I remember I laid down some guitar song, was really cool actually, and I think a little bit Evil Masquerade-ish sounding, pentagram kind of. So I'm sure there will be stuff on that album as well that people will enjoy.
Right on. Another question that come off from social media to be asked to you was, back in 2011, you was involved on a project for cancer charity. And this person says they haven't heard a lot about it, so they were curious how you were involved into that.
Started from Australia originally. A guy called Richard Osofsky started an organization called Metal for Cancer because he had lost his wife in cancer, and he wanted to do something more to make it, the loss, more meaningful, and try to do something to make it better. And he's a metal musician like all of us. So he wanted to do something through Metal for Cancer. So Metal for Cancer, that was the project. And he contacted me. It was just before we started working with Pentagram. And it was also in the period when we were starting up Dark Minstrel Music, and he approached me and asked me if I could donate kind of a song to the project from Evil Masquerade, where they could sell it and take the income and use it for cancer research. And I thought, of course, the idea was really good, but at the same time, I was spending every day trying to get out of every contract of all the criminals that were selling Evil Masquerade, and I just wanted to make a clean start with where nothing was signed to anything. And I thought, okay, even though I liked this idea a lot, I didn't really want to sign something up with Evil Masquerade somewhere at the same time as I was trying to get out of everything else. So instead I suggested, what about, instead of making it an Evil Masquerade project or Evil Masquerade song, that I write something new for this, just dedicated for this project, and then we can maybe use most of the guys in Evil Masquerade as backing for the song, and then let's invite like an all-star cast, lots of people more or less known to the metal fans, to make it a little bit bigger than just Evil Masquerade. So because we're not bigger than we are, but if we also get someone in from like Megadeth, and we'll get someone in from Candlemass, and we get someone in from TNT and Sonata Arctica, and all the way around, then the project becomes much more interesting for a lot more people. Of course, that would also make it more likely to get more money for the cause. And he thought it was a really good idea, and so I did that. I wrote the song. That was the easy part, writing the song. I never in my fantasy imagined how much work it would be, because of course, since we were trying to raise money, we couldn't meet with everyone. It had to be a kind of an online project, where I did the demo like I do the Evil Masquerade demos. I recorded the whole thing with demo vocals and everything, and then we just tried to put it out to different guys, making the singers taking one line each, so they could use my demo as a guideline, and then they could just do it on a clean backing with no vocals, and record their parts and send it back. But since by doing it that way, used like 20 or 30 different studios and tried to match all these takes to feel like all these guys are actually standing in the same room. Of course, that fell on me because I was the producer of the song. So that was kind of interesting. So, but I think it worked out really good. It was a mouthful, but when I had prepared tracks for final mix, which I didn't do myself, it was done by Jacob Hansen here in Denmark, a really well-known, great producer, engineer. When the files were finalized and sent to him, it felt really good, and he, of course, also made his magic with it. So now I think it feels like in the same room, but of course it's not. So, but that's the kind of short story how it happened.
That's really cool. That's actually really cool. I was unaware he was that involved into it. I really was. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, but you need to do something because I'm at the same time I'm one of these guys that really complains about the all the passive people not doing anything. Just you see all these guys on Facebook, for example, and then someone dies or in cancer, for example, and all that you see is okay. Then you go Google and you find a banner says "fuck cancer" and then you post that on Facebook. Yeah, that will help. So I think instead of just posting a banner "fuck cancer" and then feel like a good person, I thought I need to do something, and that is within what I can do. So now I've done that. If something else comes up in the future, I might be interested. But let's see. It felt really good doing it, even though I would probably have considered it a lot more if I had known before how much time it would actually take. But it was an interesting project for sure.
Right on. One more question off from social media. Do you have any difficulty balancing Henrik Flyman, the musician, and Henrik Flyman through dark minstrel music, kind of back and forth on both sides of the fence?
No, because it's always been like that. In the past, it was just like the guy trying to make things work, not the musician guy, which is now the dark minstrel guy. He never had the chance because there were always other companies claiming to do it, even though they did not. So that was just me being me standing on the side, being frustrated and thinking, why aren't they doing anything? Are they just stupid or lazy? And now I can actually do what I've always thought they would do. Of course, within what economy I have to do Google to use, and that's of course not much, but I can be creative around it, and I can try yeah ideas, and if something not is not working, then I try something else, and because in the old days it was just a new album is put out and someone is using maybe 1 or 2 or tops 3 weeks sending a few emails, and if nothing has happened in that period of time, okay, fuck it. And then okay, I've been working on this album like for a year, and they spend like 3 weeks, and that's 3 weeks where they're also trying to sell 5 other bands at the same time. And I thought, okay, this is just rude, and I was really offended at in the end. I thought, I can't continue releasing album this way. I needed to start a platform or make another situation where we could continue to work and make something good out of it, because otherwise I could never have motivated. I would never have written Pentagram, for example, if we hadn't started the Dark Minstrel Music, because it would have made no sense just I could as well just thrown it down the trash can. It felt like that, so it was necessary. It's more kind of a relief than hard to tell which share I'm on, if I'm on the company share or the artist share. I don't know, and also since I'm not alone on Dark Minstrel Music at all, because still I just do a little bit there, even though I was the one starting it. I'm still just a little bit doing a little bit of work, because the whole idea was also to control the company situation, and to allow for me to be an artist, and sometimes a little bit more of a company guy. But the whole idea is to take me away from the company completely, and that's all about sales. Because if we can sell a little bit more music and the company can do it themselves, and I need to make more music and play shows, that would be brilliant. But as it is right now, that's not the situation, and then I need to help out at the company as well, of course.
Very cool, very cool. You know, Henrik, I could sit here and talk to you for the next 2 hours. I love talking to you, your passion and everything else. But I think we've got enough for today, man. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. You absolutely rock, brother.
You do too, because you're passionate about what you do, and that's why I liked talking to you.